Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another show, back for an episode of our Tactical Breakdown show, the show in which we look at the players that Arsenal have been linked to and could be joining the Gunners this summer. Now, some of you may have seen on the channel that I've been having a couple of issues in terms of uploading videos that have been about 30 seconds long, and effectively I'm trying, ironically, to make my life easier by doing these shows on StreamYard because it's supposedly meant to save me time, which will enable me to add a little bit more spice to these videos. But I've been having some issues, so I'm sorry about that. Bear with me and bear with some of the issues that you might see across this show. It should be fine, fingers crossed. But yeah, we'll try to do it through StreamYard, which should make the quality of the show better. But as always, I'd love your feedback to tell me in the comments what you did like, if you found the edited versions better, if you do prefer the edited versions. It's tricky for me to go back to those because of the time it takes to do those, and doing it this way, even where everything is still the same. In fact, there's a little bit more with this version, fingers crossed. I should hopefully be able to give you all the information you need about Joelson Fernandes, who is the guy that we're covering in today's show. As we always do, we're going to throw straight to our expert on this. But before we do, please make sure you drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here with those notifications turned on, and make sure that you've hit that notification bell so you get told whenever we do a show. So let's go to Jose, and he'll tell us everything that he knows about Joelson Fernandes.
Hi guys, so it seems Arsenal has been all over Joelson Fernandes lately, trying to sign him. Joelson is a Sporting Lisbon winger. He's just turned 17 a few months ago. He can play either from the left or from the right, and he's seen here at the club as the main hope, as the most promising player right now at Sporting. And so everyone has high hopes about Joelson. The club has been trying to renew his contract for the last few weeks. It's been hard though, because allegedly there are lots of interested clubs putting pressure on the player, on the agent, Kia, who's quite close with Arsenal, as everyone knows. And so the club has been trying to increase Joelson's termination clause, which is now set at 45 million. The Sporting wants to set it at 100 million. The player doesn't want 100 million for some reason, of course, but right now, being at 45 million, it's quite within the range, within the possibilities of the main European clubs like Arsenal, like Liverpool, and those are the ones I've heard, you know, rightly so or not, I don't know. I just hope Joelson renews his contract, obviously, as a Sporting fan. But getting into the player himself, Joelson is quite a good player. He's like that usual winger, quite quick on his feet, quite awesome pace, very good technique, very good dribbling ability. But most of all, he's at the age of 17 already evidencing a strong personality, a very confident personality on the field, even though he's just been promoted to the 18. Joelson has only played 3 games for Sporting's 18 this season, in a total of 40 minutes, I believe. That's the correct data. And so, even though he's played so little, you can already tell that there is a confident player, that there is a very strong player, wanting to show his qualities, wanting to gain the trust of the fans, and wanting to, of course, gain the attention of interested clubs that have been all over him. I want to tell you, in the last Sporting game against Porto, who were just champions in Portugal, Joelson played, I believe, 12 minutes, and that was enough for him to become the most dangerous player, the most dangerous element on the field. In just 12 minutes, a 17-year-old against the Portuguese champions, causing trouble, wanting to have the ball, facing the opposite defenders, and trying to get in the box and score. He didn't, however, unfortunately, of course. But I believe that if he is really signed by Arsenal, he already has that intensity and that strength that the Premier League requires.
So there you go. Really fantastic insight there from Jose. You can find him on Twitter with the link in the description. Please make sure you go and check him out. He's got some really good insights on Portuguese football and Sporting Lisbon too. So the interesting thing, obviously, about Sporting is that they're a side that have produced a hell of a lot of decent players in the past. One is currently playing really, really well in the Premier League, being Bruno Fernandes. So there's the roots there that show players like that, and Joelson Martins as well. These guys have shown real promise and shown that this club can really develop these young guys into, and not just develop them, but also like Bruno Fernandes was obviously signed from Sampdoria, I believe it was, and went on to be developed at the club before being sold for a massive profit. So it's a good club to buy players from. They know how to develop Portuguese guys and a lot of Brazilian players as well, and beyond. So I think this represents someone that could be one of those young profiles that Arsenal look at as a type of player which becomes someone that has a lot of value, either to maintain his position at the club or, of course, go on to be sold for a hell of a lot of money. It's important that Arsenal invest in young players that have a very, very high ceiling, and we're seeing that now. We're seeing players like Saka and Martinelli sign new deals, which is really promising. But to add someone of Joelson Fernandes' quality to the team, as Jose was talking about, is really key. So as we always do on the show, we like to go into our technical stuff too. So let's have a look at Jose Miguel. He's our guest, as Joelson Fernandes' heat map. So he's typically a left winger, but he can play on the right hand side. These statistics are taken from his time playing with the under-23s. I thought it'd be unfair to look across 3 games playing in the senior side. So we're looking at what he's done for the under-23s, playing mainly on the left, but also being able to play on the right. He's right-footed, so he's an inverted player playing on that left-hand side, similar to how Martinelli would play, but the opposite to Saka, who typically prefers playing on the left flank but can play on the right. It's good to have a balance of players that can play on either flank. It gives you more options. Let's look then into his attacking statistics. 3 goals and 4 assists so far, the under-23s. 2 shots being made in each game. Definitely skewed towards that left-hand side, liking to cut in, but we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail in a second. Crosses, 4 are being made in each game with a 33.3% accuracy. Of course, playing as an inverted winger, usually those cross statistics are quite low, but the fact he's doing more definitely shows part of his weak foot ability, and I'm going to talk about that again in just a second. Dribbles, 8.78 dribbles per game with a 51% success rate on those is very good. Offensive duels, winning 41.9% of those. Something I noticed about him when I was watching him was the fact that obviously he has a bit of bulk about him in terms of physicality. He may not be like bulky like you think like a wrestler, but he's definitely got muscle on him, and he can hold players off of the ball really, really well. Touching the penalty area, 2.81. Offsides, progressive runs being high, quite high at 3.76. He likes to get in behind, and as a technical player, he does draw a fair few fouls. Passing accuracy, 77.7, isn't massively high, but he is young. And to be fair, looking into the statistics of him when he's playing in the senior side, in those 3 games, he averaged out at just over 90% passing accuracy in the few minutes that he did get, which is pretty darn good. Long passes aren't too much part of his game, neither of those through balls either. We've talked about crosses already. Passing to the final third are really interesting, seeing as there's not too many, because he's a very advanced player. As you saw from the heat map we looked at a second ago, you look how far up the pitch that heat map is, and that clearly shows us that he doesn't particularly like getting back, which we'll come on to with the defensive statistics in just a minute. But carrying on though, looking at the passes into the penalty area, this is where he comes more into the frequency with 4.12 with a 47.8% accuracy. Forward to backward passes is an interesting ratio for a forward player, but that shows how much he likes to get to the byline. That's why those cutbacks are part of his game, and those passes into the box being 92% is very, very good. But still weird to see those passing stats in such a ratio as they are there. Let's then move on to the defensive statistics. He gets involved with nearly 6 duels in each game and wins nearly 50% of those. Doesn't get involved with many aerial duels whatsoever, and only wins 25% of the loose balls that he's getting involved with as well. But losses to recoveries is a very, very negative ratio. But from watching him and from looking at some of the clips that I've been looking at to do some of the research for this video, he is brave and he's confident and he loves to take players on. And if he can develop that skill, I would imagine that those losses would begin to go down. And again, the fact that 19% of the losses are in his own half shows you how committed he is to being in the opposition half for most of, if not all of the game. So they're the statistics, but I wanted to take you a little bit further and talk about what I've started to see of him when he's been playing. So an example of him playing for the under-23 side. This is just one of the classic sort of things you see from him playing on the left. He loves to cut inside, but what I wanted to show is that whilst he had the option to cut inside with a player there, and there's also a player in the centre of the pitch that could close him down and stop that shot, what he does is he uses his technical ability to cut back and move to his left and take a left-footed shot that just goes ever so slightly over the bar. And for me, this is a key thing that I want to see from inverted wingers, the ability and the confidence to move back onto their weaker side to take shots and take crosses. We saw with Ainsley Maitland-Niles in the FA Cup semi-final how much he struggled putting in the balls into the box with his left foot. Sometimes we see it with Pepe on his right foot because he's so one-dimensional in that sense. So it's important, if you're going to play with Pepe, to have a winger on the opposite side that has that ability to cut in and use both feet. I also want to show you an example of him playing for the under-17s. This is for Portugal. He is still extremely young, as Jose was talking about. And in this example, he actually manages to take the ball past 3 or 4 Albanian defenders there really simply. First of all, you've got Joelson Fernandes there attacking this Albanian left wing back, and he does it to great effect, takes it past him, then gets him into a situation where you've got 2 Albanian players taking him on, and he manages to go past one and nutmeg the other before heading towards goal and smashing it past the Albanian goalkeeper. It was a really great clip to watch. I'm sure it's one that you'll be able to find on YouTube somewhere. These are obviously taken from Scout, which is the software that we use. So there you go, a really comprehensive look and some tactical looks as well at the player Joelson Fernandes. He loves taking on players. He loves beating his man. He can be a bit selfish from what I've looked at, and that will definitely need to improve if he wants to play under Arteta. But he's still very young. So before you go, we've got loads of wingers. Just think, this guy, it's not like signing a 25, 26, 27, 28-year-old or whatever, or 30-plus-year-old in terms of that position. It's about investing in youth and giving yourself loads of options in terms of young players with loads of potential. And I know that we've got Martinelli and Nelson and Saka, but for me, if there's an opportunity to sign a really young, exciting player like Joelson Fernandes, I would look at this as a possibility and as a really exciting young player to get in. So who knows? He might be amazing. It might happen. We'll just have to wait and see. If you've enjoyed the show, please drop a like on the video. Please give me some feedback in regards to how you felt this has felt using StreamYard. It saves me a lot of time. It enables me to show you some of the key sort of things like this on the screen as well, which I think is really useful for you guys to look at him as a more of a player. We did it a lot last season and during the summer, but without the statistics. And we've kind of moved away from using the graphics, even though I really like using them. And the time that is saved using StreamYard for this allows me to make some of these graphics and use that time elsewhere, because this thing gets uploaded straight away. There's no editing that's needed. Yes, I have to be brave myself, a little bit like Joelson, and go for a one take. But we do this regularly with the live show. So I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please drop a like on the video. But it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, and we'll see you again very soon, straight after the Villa game. So see you very soon, and as always, up the Arsenal.